Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a Spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So more and more, I'm reminded that Michigan makes things. And the recent news talks quite a bit about companies coming to Michigan to bolster our mission to continue to make things. But today we're going to talk about making things from an arts perspective. So here to share why you don't want to miss ScrapFest 13, if I'm not mistaken, are the Executive Director of ScrapFest, Mr. Mike Baass, and the President of Friedland Industries, Joel Conn. Welcome, Mike and Joel.
Hey, thank you for having us.
So talk a little bit about Friedland Industries. So who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so Friedland is a full-service scrap management and scrap processing company. We process all grades of metal, ferrous and non-ferrous, all grades of paper, and we take some plastics and e-scrap as well. We've been located in Old Town at the corners of Maple and Center Streets since 1886. So
1886,
fourth
wow.
generation family business, yep.
That's fantastic. And so, Mike, so ScrapFest. So how did ScrapFest start and how does Friedland kind of fit into it? Talk a little bit about the mechanics of what ScrapFest is.
Sure. It's a really interesting story. David Such, who is at the time it was called Such Video, now it's called Render Studios. It was his brainchild, actually. He came to my dad. I was still living overseas at the time in Japan, and he came to my dad and said, I have this idea for a scrap metal sculpture competition. Would you be interested in hosting? And my dad was like, of course, And so I was not around for the first year of it. And then when I came back and started working at Friedland, I very quickly got on the committee that was involved in putting it on. And it started as just the competition itself. And at the time, the artist got 2 weeks. They would get an hour to pick up to 500 pounds of metal out of Friedland's processing plant. And then they would get 2 weeks to make a sculpture, and then we would auction those sculptures off right in Old Town. And that's how it started. And that the competition portion of it has just grown every year, and the artists just have continued to outdo themselves every year. But now, it's grown into the ScrapFest festival has turned into this full-blown art festival that's repurpose focused. So we have the competition itself. We have booth artists who have a repurpose focus. The guidelines are that at least 75% of their work must be done with reused materials or upcycled materials. And then we have live music. And last year we just added the 8K, the Great Scrap Run that Joel started. That just went really well. The 8K Run and Walk, and we also have a refashion show now. So. Where we're bringing up the issue of reusing textiles, and it's just grown into this incredible event.
That's fantastic. So when is ScrapFest happening this year?
Right. So the actual festival dates are Friday, July 14th, and the timing of that is 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the next day, Saturday, July 15th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the auction, the pieces are juried first, second, third, and people's choice, and that happens. Those are announced around 4:30 on Saturday, and then the auction. There's a silent auction piece that goes into it, and that goes until around 5:30.
And this is all held on Turner Street in Old Town. They close it down, right? Then they have several festivals throughout the year of different themes.
Yes.
But ScrapFest is one of those where Turner Street's closed down. You've got the traditional arts and music and fun and food and drinks and stuff.
Yeah, and the race is on the 15th. It's 8:30, I believe 8:30 a.m. is when it starts. And
8, right? Is it 8 or 8:30? I can't remember.
Kids race starts at 8 and the 8K starts at 8:30. That's right. Yeah. And the run sign up is live on March 17th.
Okay, so coming up later this week. We're recording this in the middle of March at 23. So you can sign up for a race, and that's Saturday morning, I would imagine, right? Or is that the Friday?
You have to sign up for the race prior to the day.
The race is Saturday.
It is Saturday. Yep.
Got it. So Friday and Saturday this week in July. You can go to Old Town. You can run a race. You can wander around the Turner Street and see these sculptures. So, if I remember correctly, are there 2 categories now of the actual ScrapFest arts, big and small kind of a thing?
That's correct. Yeah, there's a large piece category which is 500 pounds up to 500 pounds, and then the small piece category is 250 pounds. And sometimes some of the teams do both categories, but then some just choose to do one or the other.
And I think that's fascinating. So for the listeners, maybe if you're not wrapping your brain around that, so they're on a designated day
Right.
outside of the festival.
Right.
All the people that want to participate in this are going to show up at Friedland, which is a scrap. And if you've never been there, I mean, the place is massive and there's stuff all over the place. And these guys basically get to go pick out shapes and sizes and materials and colors and all that stuff that's just sitting there in the yard. Essentially, I'm probably not giving it justice. And then they pile it all up and put it on a scale. And if it's 512 pounds, they got to get rid of 12 pounds and make the decision as to what element they're going to take away. And they probably have an idea in their mind of what they're trying to build.
Yes. Yeah. Most of the time, when the artists go in there, they tend to have some sort of idea in mind, and then they leave some room for randomness as to what is actually in the yard at the time. Cause whatever's there is there, and so they kind of have to work with whatever's there at the time.
Right.
That's in May. That's in early May, that collection day.
Right.
And we encourage people to come to it because it's a cool sight to see. Like you said, where you have all these artists that are just looking for scrap, that'll be used to turn into sculptures.
And then they disappear to go to wherever their studio is or whatever. And then
for a month now. Right. Now they get a month to make it. Yeah.
And then they come back and place their sculpture on Turner Street somewhere along there. And,
right. Well, now the way it works.
Yeah.
Now the way it works is after collection day, then we have a month later, we have drop off day, which is the first weekend in June. And then, it's kind of a celebration where, for the artist, they can finally relax a little bit. A lot of them haven't slept in a long time. And so then that gives us a good, month or month and a half to promote the pieces online before the actual festival occurs. And so we have them stored, at a facility until the actual festival.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So how far away do these artists tend to come from? I would imagine early on it was just local people who'd heard about it pre-internet and kind of got an invitation, but now
every year it gets more.
I just heard the other day someone from Texas applied.
Someone from Texas just applied.
Is that right?
So,
the other day. So,
but usually it's regionally, Great Lakes area for the most part.
Well, as of last year, we had 2 teams from Chicago. We had 1 team from Pittsburgh as well that joined, and they did everything. Their family joined the race and everything. So great family, and just incredible artist as well. So Johnny Snyder, he goes by Johnny Weld, and he's in Pittsburgh, and he's coming again this year too.
Yep. So now are these, because of the amount of time, I guess they must truck all that stuff back to their facility in whatever town they're coming from.
That's the obstacle.
Because they're not going to get a hotel for a month and borrow someone's space.
I don't know how it's going to work for Texas.
Yeah, I want to call the person and be like, hey, you do know what you're getting into, right? Well, and
are you staying here for a couple months?
That's what I wonder. It is possible. I know that some of the teams, they may have family that lives in this area, even if they're not. So maybe they might plan on staying here for a month or something to do the builds,
Right. So, and then you mentioned it gets juried and judged, and then there's auctions, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about maybe the economics of that. I mean, I imagine there's prize money for the people that do stuff. And then, but this is also, there are benefactors to this, right? This is a fundraiser. Right. And so talk about kind of who the charities are.
Sure.
What do the winners get? And then what do you hope the public gets? And who's involved this year?
Sure. Well, the way the proceeds work with the sculpture sales from the auction are that 70% of the proceeds go to the artists themselves. 20% goes to ScrapFest, for putting it on every year. To help toward that, and then 10% goes to a different local charity that we work with each year. So this year, we found out about Mikey 23 Foundation. I don't know if you've heard of them. But
no, I haven't.
Oh my God, they do.
I'll have to have them on.
Yeah,
that's why we pick charities like this.
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to, we're trying to make it where people know about lesser known charities.
Yeah.
Right.
So talk to me.
Oh, they're incredible. So Michael McKissick of McKissick Construction, his son Michael was murdered in I believe 2015 or 2016, and he'd only found out, his parents only found out after that happened about all of the positive things he had been doing. He had been helping this elderly lady with her groceries and like doing odd jobs for her and like repairing steps or handle railings for her and stuff like that. And given that he's in construction, he decided to start this foundation with the purpose of teaching kids the different skilled trades, and with the guidance of licensed practitioners. I'm sorry, not practitioners, licensed, like electricians and plumbers and whatnot.
Yeah, the trades, right?
Yeah, exactly. and to give them a thing. The whole motto is put down the guns and pick up a hammer and build up your community. And it's a huge focus on teaching kids the trades. And it's a great system with which they not only learn the trades, but they also learn how to manage money and a budget and everything. And as a result, a number of the students have gone on to get great careers in those actual trades. So it's just been a really great focus. And I know they've done work for Pat Gillespie as well.
Okay.
And
CATA, I believe, as well.
They've
built benches for CATA.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and both of which have just given incredible reviews on the work that the Mikey 23 Foundation has done. And like Joel said, it's one of those, I had never heard of it until we came across it, and it's kind of a perfect example. They do great work, and they're maybe not as well known, to some of the community. So that's our goal, is to shine light on that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I remember hearing, I've had you guys on before years past, and hearing about each charity is always resonates strong, right? It's a super cool event in a vacuum, but to know that proceeds are going to something that's a little undersung and super noble is just rounds it all out. So.
Also the race, the run sign up proceeds from the race go to the charity.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So obviously Friedland is kind of I don't know what your role is, but kind of the owners of the ScrapFest brand and event. But what other I don't know if it's sponsors or partners or it usually takes many hands to make light work. So who are your other support people that are helping you get this all put together?
Sure. Well, aside from Friedland, without Friedland, this obviously would not happen, right? So
there's no scrap.
Yeah, there's no scrap. They contribute both with just like the scrap, the labor involved. They contribute financially to put it on, to make it happen. It's just incredible what they do to make this work. We're very excited that since last year, Lincoln Electric, who's one of the top, if not the top, welding equipment company in the world, they found out about us through Ivan Eiler, who's one of the artists who participates. Well, during the pandemic, he got onto a Netflix show called Metal Shop Masters, because the reason he got on, he told me this, is that they saw his ScrapFest sculptures and then invited him to be on the show. And then so as a result, he got more notoriety and, had more people approaching him with sponsorship. Anyway, Lincoln Electric was one of those. And so he told Lincoln Electric about us. And so they started partnering with us now. And so they contributed to the prizes that people get for first, second, and third, even welders and things like that, as well as they're providing the wire for all the teams to use to build their piece. And now, so this year, they're partnering even more with us, and we're excited about that, because we're creating a documentary about the artists involved in ScrapFest. And so like Lincoln's, involved with helping us put that on. We also have the First National Bank of Michigan, who's sponsoring the 8K in a big way. We have, as well as the festival, and then Foster Swift as well. And so I'm probably
State of Fitness, I believe was
State of Fitness. Yes, is
and
great.
Then, I think Plant Moran is as well.
I think Plant Moran plans to, I believe.
Trying to think of others.
I know I'm blanking right now.
Last year Bruce Pets put on the kids race. I think they're on board again this year, so I just have to reach out to them.
Sure.
I haven't done
that. So. All right, so Bruce Pets, you're on notice.
Yeah.
When you see Joel ring in, you got to take that call.
They want to put you on the spot.
And that's fine. And we got a lot of runway, right? We're, like I mentioned, we're recording this in mid-March, and then the festival is mid-July. So I know that there's probably a lot of shape that still needs to be taken in here. So and part of that is why we wanted to record this now, is to get you, like I said, that running start metaphorically and literally. So, I'm assuming are you looking for sponsors? Are you looking for volunteers? Is all of that? This must be the time of year that you're starting to pull all that together, right?
Chris, are we looking for sponsors? I even brought a packet to give to you. So that if you have anyone you want to give it to, please do.
Got it.
I'll say this too. We're also we're working with Michigan Creative this year, which has been
Brian.
great. Brian.
Yep. Big fan.
And they, they've been great at helping us put the packet together, and involved with helping us handle our social media as well as our emailing and things like that. So they've been great to work with, and they're sponsoring as part of, what they're, providing us.
In kind.
In kind in a way. So,
right.
But yes, to answer your question, we're definitely looking for sponsors continuously, because of everything that we're trying to do. The festival just keeps growing, but we have a lot of really cool goals and things that we think can be great for it, but we're looking for as much help as we can.
Yeah, and
Nice.
the documentary is one of those.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to follow the artists through their entire experience, from picking up the scrap to,
Right.
when they go back home and are building it, and then to the day of the festival. So it should be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So this year is kind of being filmed,
Season one.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
are you familiar with Chef's Table on Netflix? Have
Yeah.
you seen that?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows on there, and I love how they sort of feature a different chef on every episode. Well, that's kind of a similar approach that we're taking to this. So
Okay.
ScrapFest obviously is a competition, but we weren't interested in making a competition show. What we really wanted to do is take each episode and feature a different artist and kind of go from leading up to collection day all the way through the end of the festival. And, of course, showcase them doing their sculpture builds,
Yep.
as part of that. But really the episode being about them as people, their struggles, their ups and downs, the obstacles they've overcome. Because that's where the real stories are.
Right.
That's where the magic is when you and when you learn about them, what is the person behind the piece that they're making. It just brings it to this whole other level. And so we're really excited about the documentary portion of it.
That's fascinating that you bring that up because I guess I've already known this, but if you dig into any creative, right, whether they're a comedian or a musician or an artist in the truest sense, you scratch the surface a little bit beyond what their output is.
Yeah.
And there's always an amazing
Always
story.
more.
And sometimes it's usually pretty sad.
Yeah, it's usually a struggle, right?
Yeah, because it
absolutely.
takes a lot of vulnerability to put your art out there for other people to, judge.
100%.
So that's great that you're putting all that together. So you talk social media, you talk kind of website. So how can listeners kind of follow along and learn more about ScrapFest and Friedland Industries?
Sure. Well, we first of all follow all of our socials. They're slightly different names because of the character limits and whatnot.
Yeah.
But ScrapFest Art Festival on Instagram, on YouTube, it's ScrapFest. Definitely follow that to stay along with the documentary that's going to be coming up. We have an email list. If you go to our Facebook page, you can find the email sign up right away, and then you'll be notified about all the upcoming events and things like that. So
Fantastic.
And great scrap run sign up.
oh yeah, great Scrap Room sign up. Yeah, that's
FriedlandIndustries.com.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can get it, and then it'll be on
Facebook and
ScrapFest
Instagram.
website. Oh yeah, ScrapFest.com. You find everything from there.
So ScrapFest.com, ScrapFest Lansing. We've
Yeah.
been talking about the executive director of ScrapFest from Mr. Mike Baass and the president of Friedland Industries, Joel Conn. Thanks so much, guys, for joining
Thanks for
me.
having us.
Thank you for
all
having
the
us.
best.
I
Really
appreciate
looking
it.
forward to it this year's event.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.